Hey guys, this is Anita. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about all the books I read in February. I had a good reading month compared to January. I read 5 novels and 3 novellas, total 8. It's not much in terms of number of pages, but I did not struggle to focus as I had struggled in January. And I also watched 3 shows. I finally watched Shadow and Bone. I posted a video comparing book and show. I'll link it in the cards. Please go and check if you're interested. I also watched Squid Game. I finally understand why it was so popular. It was very addictive. And I watched season 2 of Witcher. I did not read Witcher books, so most of the scenes are not clear to me. I like few scenes and few elements of the show, but overall season is little slow and boring to me. Coming to books, out of 8 I gave 2 2.5 stars, 1 3.25, 2 4 stars, 1 4.5 star and 2 5 stars. The first book I want to talk about is The Emperor's Blades by Brian Stavely. This is book 1 of Chronicles of Unhewn Throne. I read this as part of read along in Alan's Discord. I liked the premise and I was very excited to start this one, but it is a frustrating experience. Premise is really simple. The emperor gets killed and his 3 children has to unfold the conspiracy. His 2 sons are getting trained far away from the empire. One is getting trained to become a special warrior and the other is getting trained to be a monk. Emperor's daughter is in the empire and she has to deal with all political conspiracies, but we don't get much of her. Out of 50 chapters, her perspective is only in 5 chapters, which is very disappointing, and both emperor's sons' perspectives are little frustrating. There are good tropes in this: warrior training trope, bonding between trainees trope, mentor-mentee relationship tropes. These can be good if they are done well, but these aren't executed properly. I didn't like the writing. It is clumsy and most of the scenes are over dramatized, but the world is very intriguing. That's why it is very frustrating, because I really like the world and I want to know more about that, but we did not get much of that in book 1. Second half is definitely better than first half. Pacing picked up in second half. I completed second half in almost in one sitting. Ideas are really good, but execution fell flat for me. I gave this book only 2.5 stars. Next, I want to talk about novellas I read. All 3 novellas are from the same world, Edgin Universe by P. Jelly Clark. I'm not a big fan of this world. Maybe we get more details of the world in a full-length novel. Maybe I get to appreciate that in the novel. But in these short stories, I like characters and I like some of the concepts. In this world, a scholar managed to open a gate between our world and Jinn world. So jinns and angels live among humans. The first novella I did, Jinn in Cairo, is a simple murder mystery. A jinn gets killed and cops and an investigator from Department of Magical Beings has to solve the case. I like the main character and I like the concept of how these secret establishments help this main character in solving the case, but I did not enjoy too many descriptions of these magical beings and their houses. I found them boring. I gave the first novella only 3.25 stars. I actually liked the second novella, The Angel of Kalili. Kalili is a night market in this world, which is very fascinating and fun to read. We get to visit small shops in all novellas from this night market, but we don't get any background. This is a very short story. There are only 2 characters. One girl visits an angel for a favor. It is a straightforward story. We follow the conversation between this girl and the angel. I really liked it and I gave this one 4 stars. Coming to the third novella, The Haunting of Tramcar015, I have an unpopular opinion about this. I did not enjoy this one. The story is simple. One tramcar gets haunted and the supervisor complains to the Department of Magical Beings and 2 officers come to solve the case. It has that classic trope of one senior officer and one newbie who is a chatty. I really like the chatty one, but that's all. There are too many descriptions of the being haunting the tramcar, which I did not care. There are other small things the author included, like women in Cairo were fighting for their right right to vote. I like the way it was included in the plot. That's the reason I gave this one 2.5 stars. Next book I want to talk about is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. I'm not sure what I was expecting before starting this book, but it completely blew my mind. Murakami's writing is so vivid and I loved it so much. It follows two characters. One is a 15-year-old kid who runs away from home to escape a prophecy, and the other one is an old man who cannot read and write but has an ability to talk with cats. Both stories run parallel and are interconnected. This 15-year-old kid meets an assistant librarian who reads a lot. Their conversations are my favorite part of this book. There are definitely some weird concepts in the second half of the book which I'm not a fan of. That's the only reason I gave this book 4 stars. If you want to know more details, I have a separate review of this book. I'll link it in the cards. Please check that if you are interested. The next book I want to talk about is Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. This is book 2 in Winter Night trilogy. It follows Vasya who travels south after events of the book 1. This is about Vasya's adventures along the way and her bond with her family. We get to meet Vasya's elder sister and her monk brother. I enjoyed this one definitely more than book 1. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I loved Vasya. I loved reading about her and her bond with her family and her bond with her horse. Next book I want to talk about is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is my third book by Octavia E. Butler and it did not disappoint. This follows a 26-year-old African American woman who travels back in time to 1800s of Maryland to save a little kid. Whenever that kid's life is in danger, she travels back to that time. She is an African American woman, so it's very dangerous for her to go to that time. So we see her coping with it and her precautions to be safe in that time period. Of course, it's not possible for her to be safe in that time period. We see many atrocities that happened in the time period through our main character's perspective. It is a very difficult read. I read this with my friend Angela from Bookaholic Brown Nim. We are planning to have a discussion about this book soon, and I'm also planning to have a separate review where I'll talk about it more. This is a wonderful book which managed to pack a punch in less than 300 pages. And the best book I read in February is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is book 1 in Farsi trilogy and it is just brilliant. It mainly follows a 6-year-old boy who is an illegitimate son of King in Waiting. When it becomes public knowledge, the King in Waiting becomes abdicated and this 6-year-old kid is raised by a stable master. This is a first-person perspective. We learn about the world and the Farsir family through this boy's perspective. We follow him from 6-year-old to 14-year-old teenager. I loved the writing style. It worked well for me. I'm not a pet person, but this book made me feel like I want a dog for the first time. Robin Hobb did a very good job in humanizing all animals in this book. Main character is raised in stables and works in stables, so we get to see many animals in this book. It is a fun experience reading their bond with characters. We are introduced to many characters which have a lot of potential. I can't wait to read more in this world. I finished second book Royal Assassin, but I read most of that in March, so I'll talk about it in March wrap up. I gave this book 5 stars without hesitation. It's just brilliant. I had wonderful discussion about this book with Greg from Greg Will Research. I'll link that video in the cards above. Please check that if you're interested. Let me know what is your favorite book in February. See you in the next video. Bye bye.